Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second episode of the podcast, The Islanders. My name is James.
My name is Daniel.
My name's Yen.
Today, we have a very special guest with us. She's been to Africa for a year to do volunteer work, and this summer, she's back in Africa for 2 months to do some more humanitarian work. And she's now back, and she's our longtime classmate and friend, Crystal. Let's welcome her.
Hello, guys.
Hi.
I'm Crystal. I am now in my second year in Tsinghua University, and now I'm an NGO worker.
Oh, so that's a really cool job title.
Yep.
You know,
Having
for a student, like having like double job titles.
Like
You-
slash.
Yeah, you
Like
can
Yeah,
put on your
slash.
Instagram or Facebook. You have students in NTHU
NGO
and
worker.
That's cool.
That's
really.
really cool. Man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, I wanted to talk. The reason why we got you as a guest today
Mm-hmm.
is because we heard you speak English before.
Okay.
And speak it very well.
And yeah, we think you speak very well, and so we wanted to talk to you more and to get you on the show, maybe improve ourselves a little bit.
Sure.
Okay? So I wanted to know, like how did you learn English since you were little?
Okay, so my mom is a kindergarten English teacher, and she puts a
Me
lot
too.
of emphasis on my education. Of course, English learning. Yeah. And so simply I went to many cram schools.
Okay,
when I
so
was
you
there.
were like born in Taiwan too.
Yeah.
Okay, born and raised in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cran school like giraffe English. Oh,
Or Hess or
No, like a private
private
cram
school.
school.
private cram school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For the kids or for maybe junior high school students or
For kids.
for kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how was your learning experience, growing up?
So I was actually inspired by my English teacher when I was
Okay.
in junior high school.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when I started to really learn English. I have only one simple goal, like just merely go abroad and get to know some handsome guys.
Wow.
Oh, okay, so that was your.
I think that's quite
Yeah.
attractive.
So have
reason
you-
for you
That's
to-
quite a
have you
motivation,
achieved
right?
this goal?
wait, that was too many questions.
Oh,
Okay.
so have you achieved your goal?
Yes, and I did. I went to my exchange student life in my 17.
Okay, so where did you go? I heard you went to the United States of America, right?
Yes, I went to Ohio State. And
Ohio
I-
State?
Yeah, studied senior high there.
So you stayed 1 year there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how was the feeling there? Is there having a full English full
Immersion.
English or immersion into this kind of?
Yes,
Environment?
because I stay with my host family, and we also use English a lot. And from the exchange program, I actually study in many variety fields, not just English. So that actually broadens my view of English. And we also play a lot with friends.
Okay.
Yes.
So how was high school life in America?
It's mostly just country life, and we always
Oh,
like
okay.
drive
Ohio
along.
State.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
some flyover state.
Wow, flyover
Flyover
state.
state.
Well, that's me.
Yeah, no
Okay.
one wants to get there.
So why did you choose Ohio?
Actually, we didn't have the chance to
choose.
Yeah, your host family choose you.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's
So I'm quite curious about how did you get a chance to exchange it to United States?
Okay. Actually, in my senior, I study harder than others, and I have no entertainment at all.
wow.
Wow.
Yes, like because my family was qualified for low income in my 13, so I did get the merit-based scholarship for exchange student from government.
From government.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
totally free for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
totally free.
That's really cool.
That's kind of excellent students things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could never have
I
got
would
that.
say it's a God-given chance.
Yeah.
Once in your life.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So let's talk more about your Ohio State life. About how does it feel when using English to learn other things, like not only learn English like you're in Taiwan is about using English or use English to learn other subjects or other sports or something?
Oh, like first time I got there, I couldn't really understand what they're saying.
Oh.
Yeah, like at all.
At all. So you just have signs or
Yeah, it's totally different. Like they always have a liaison, like
Liaison.
yes, that kind of thing, and I never understand. Then I laugh at their joke when they laugh.
when they laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
Yeah.
international language for it.
And it's also interesting, like how 1 year affects you, right?
Yeah.
1 year is not necessarily a long time,
Mhm.
but I think you can improve really a lot when you are immersed in that environment.
So there is a method I use for learning English. It's shadowing.
Oh, shadowing. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
So can you introduce shadowing for us?
So, like, I always listen to radio and also podcasts, what we're doing right now, and I repeat right after they say any words.
Right after you you say that a sentence after a sentence you repeat that sentence.
Yes, I repeat right after. Like, I get the information and I say it out loud.
Oh, so it's kind of you input the information into your
Uh-huh.
brain and then
Yes, like a
instantly output
shadow,
that.
like look after. Yeah.
So
very
you
closely.
especially practice the skill,
Mhm.
or you have especially spend some time every day to practice this. Kind
Yes, like almost
Wow.
every day
Almost
for
every
3
day.
years.
For 3 years, about 1
Wow.
hour.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where like the better English accent comes
Yeah.
from, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I would say
Well, that's
that's
very interesting.
very interesting.
It's very different from what I do. I really don't pay much attention to that. It's sort of just like living this regular life for me.
That's your regular.
I don't like
Wow.
I don't necessarily like follow the sentences.
Yeah, I've
That's not what I did.
Yep. Okay.
Then how do you speak English well?
Oh no, I think so. That's what I've been working on. So speaking's really not a strong suit for me.
Yeah. I've
So,
accidentally
yeah.
seen his cell phone, and he always James always talks to his brothers using English.
Oh,
They,
okay.
they chat with English online.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
awkward.
in purpose.
speaking.
like-
I
No.
know.
No. It's just
So that's
Nah.
just a
Family
custom.
tradition.
it's natural.
Natural. It's
Yeah.
natural. That's not our normal life.
Why?
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like it's more natural to speak with him in English.
Well,
Is your family tradition?
Well, my family is Taiwanese. My dad is Taiwanese.
okay, let's get back to Crystal's
Yeah.
scene. That's okay. So you have told about introduced out shadowing to us. So maybe my high school teacher also told us to do the shadowing, but like Taiwanese students, they're not willing to spend more times after school.
Yes.
So outside of shadowing, do you have other practice or implements in your high school life, maybe high school life or maybe in your university life? You have other things to improve your English skills?
Yes, and I have 2 magazines I
Or
use.
two magazines.
One is
Okay.
for
Studio classroom.
the one like
Advanced.
Yeah,
Advanced.
advanced.
Okay.
Advanced
And
English?
something league.
Oh, Ivy League.
Ivy
Sometimes-
League. Ivy
Yes,
League.
Ivy League.
Yeah, Ivy League.
Yeah.
Oh.
I read those 2.
That kind of popular
Okay.
magazines,
Mhm.
English magazines in Taiwan.
High class.
Well, like I
English
feel
magazine.
like those are like also quite artificial.
Which one? Ivy League.
I mean like all the
all the
magazines.
Ah.
All the English like
English
English
learning-
learning,
English learning
magazines.
magazines,
It's
yeah.
very artificial to me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But when you learn anything, you kind of just imitate from at the
From-
beginning.
yeah,
and
true,
imitate.
true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it became yours.
Yeah.
So do you spend main time on memorizing new vocabulary or just shadowing a podcast or radio?
So when I listen to the radio and listen to the magazine, I write it down.
Wow.
Every
down.
sentence.
So you shadow by hand.
Yes.
Wow.
That's
That's
exhausting.
kind of a hard work.
When I commute to school,
Oh.
I'm a senior high school. Like I have spent 1 hour when I
For
commute to school.
commuting to
Yes,
school.
commuting. Yeah.
Yeah,
In
commuting-
Taiwan?
Yes, Taiwan.
Wow.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think commuting is a really great time for improving your skills by using these kind of
I
trivial
sleep.
time.
I sleep on my morning commutes.
Yeah, I
So
always
I-
do that. I always do that either. So I haven't had that English ability.
Yes.
You would
yeah.
like to know.
And it's the project is for daily.
Daily.
So when I take the Monday radio and then second, and for after a week, I review from Monday to Sunday.
After a week,
Yes.
you do the review by
Yes,
yourself.
Yes.
So you not only just pay your time, you try to.
I
learn
really
these
want to
kind of things.
memorize it.
Memorize it.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
And there's a saying that if you read it and accidentally for 7 times, and you will naturally memorize it.
Memorize it.
So that's dedication right there.
Yeah, that's a very very.
And it
Yeah,
comes from a
very
simple,
dedicated
very
learner.
very simple goal.
very
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going. That's the motivation.
Yes, love is the motivation.
Love is motivation.
So how much time do you spend on learning English?
I couldn't count how much time I spent on it.
More
Yes.
than 12 hours per week?
It could be because sometimes I really read the novels and
Novels.
also
Oh.
yeah.
Wow.
So, do you think memorization or just very familiar with the contents is really important to English learning?
Mm-hmm.
About English learning, or how do you take a look about this kind of things?
So, what I value the most is the interest, that you have the interest for it, and then you naturally just memorize it. Like you use it every time, and
Like maybe
you
when
see,
you play video games,
yes,
you know,
you see,
and then you naturally memorize like all the like
All the
characters,
skills.
something,
yes, you kind of immersed in the environment, and you also have the interest for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people when they learn Japanese, you know, it's mostly like immersed in
Yeah,
like anime or something, and I think it's the same thing for English, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like if for me, Japanese is totally not. I hate the comics and all the something that guy loves.
Okay. Okay.
Why?
I'm not offended.
So I'm offended, maybe
Okay.
a part of it, a little bit. So, after you talk about all your methods for learning English, I think maybe it takes a lot of self-discipline to do all of these kind of things.
Mhm.
So, how did you maintain your self-discipline things? Do you have any besides of motivation? I
Like,
know
have you ever
sometimes
felt like, oh,
Yep.
this morning I'm very tired. Maybe I'll just sleep
Skip
on the
this
MRT.
day, yeah.
I'll skip.
Mhm.
You know,
So
how do you keep on doing it?
I think all of you know that Taiwan is very competitive study environment, and I actually have a low self-esteem when I was in senior because I studied in Zhongshan girls' high
kind
school.
of a second high, second high girls'
school.
high
Yes.
in Taipei.
Yes, and I kind of live a gloomy life, and it feels stress for me in my first year. And I dedicate myself into learning, and I want to be better than others in one specific field. So
Like English.
Yes, that was my dedication. Mhm.
Okay.
Just compete with
Compete
others.
with
So
others.
competitive.
Actually, a little bit stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you having this kind of self-discipline to strengthen your English to this kind of level, I think that's quite amazing for
So I would say she's like a Spartan kind of learning.
Spartan. yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
Spartan
English
style.
learning
Spartan kind of
Spartan.
learning.
English Spartan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe she has a cape.
Maybe she will meet 360 muscular
Muscular.
guys.
300 only.
360. Oh, 300 only.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's 300.
360 is different.
Then
Okay.
you have 300 handsome guys. And
Waiting,
with
Wow.
waiting in line for you. Yeah.
in Sparta.
So
Wow.
maybe he learn new vocabulary by muscle memory.
Oh, talking about vocabulary, I know that in Taiwan, maybe in cram school or at school, we have a lot of courses to ask students to remember the vocabularies. So we have vocabularies and example sentences, and you have to remember all the vocabularies, and there will be tests.
Yes.
And just like the last 2 episodes, Daniel have shared with us, he has a
Level.
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 He has a book for a book of vocabulary they have to memorize. So
Okay.
how do you think about these kinds of things? Do you think remembering these vocabularies and example sentences is helpful for your English learning?
Okay, so I find out the good example sentences I find out. It's not
Okay.
like people give it to me. I learned it from other novels, from magazines, from the news I see. Like I want to write it down because I like it. I don't remember the teachers give it to me. The
So
books.
You don't like the given things.
Yes.
You like to figure out how this vocabulary is used in real life.
Yes, and I also remember like I memorized the whole sentence. It's not only the vocabulary.
The vocabulary.
Yes.
So that's kind of a very important mindset here. Is that
Just memorize everything.
that's not
I mean, that's,
not do
uh,
Is that the
anything.
point?
Memorizing anything is not the point.
I mean, it's a way of learning,
Yeah.
I guess.
So I want to know how they describe the sky. They describe the landscape. They describe people's emotion, their outlook. Yeah, and I just write it down. Yeah.
So do you especially choose some content from maybe America, since English is widely used in different countries? In America, maybe India or UK or something. You especially choose the contents come from, or don't you?
No,
No.
I didn't choose any. Yeah, just some classic novel.
Classic novels.
Yes. Yes.
Like Jane Austen or something.
Oh, that's too difficult.
That's too difficult.
Okay, so what kind of novels, maybe?
Harry Potter.
No, that's too difficult.
No Harry Potter?
Yeah, no.
Harry Potter.
Okay.
No, I couldn't remember any right now.
Hunger Games.
No,
Is there any
not
popular
the
one?
fiction.
Not a fiction.
Yes.
Also, you read like nonfiction.
I like real story.
Like
Okay.
detective.
No, not detective.
No, like
kind of
real
fiction.
stories, like autobiographies or
Autobiographies.
biographies.
Yeah, biography.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's just the complete opposite
Yeah, for
for us.
for us or
Yeah,
other
compared to us, you know.
other Taiwanese students. What
Yeah,
Taiwanese
real life
education
is
do
too
to-
harsh for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so is there a, for have you have get into the English education in high school, in Taiwanese high school and
Yeah.
junior high school and high school. So, have you seen any like kind of problems, or you don't think the way they asking students to do is well? Is there any things you want to
Change
kind of
about
change
like,
about
high
the
school education
high school
of
education?
English.
Yeah.
So one thing I would like to change
Yeah.
is teachers' quality.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Okay.
that's
That's sharp.
That's
Shots fired.
starts fire. So, excluding.
Please elaborate.
Yeah, please elaborate.
Like they speak English so Taiwanese. Like they don't improve themselves, but they want to ask us to improve. So always I didn't concentrate on what they're teaching. So
So do
Okay,
I.
but I
Bad
think-
teachers.
I mean, I think this is part of the whole systematic problem, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because the way the teachers are actually evaluated
yeah.
are in terms of like his or her classes
Yes.
grades, right?
Yes.
So generally, she would want to boost the class's grade instead of like improving on his
This
or her
causes
accent,
some-
right?
Uh-huh.
And so so I think the system is really the problem here.
Yeah, and I know that because it's the population for Taiwan is really big, so it's not possible that we learn English like group by group.
Group by
And,
group.
Yeah, the resources is too.
So you think the
too
education
little.
resource is not enough for supporting these kind of amount of students?
Yeah, and always people can only learn by themselves, and if you don't, you just miss the chance to really improve at that time. Yes.
So
Yeah.
you said that you think students can learn by themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's quite something.
It requires lots of a strong willpower.
That's a faith. That kind of.
No, I
faith.
think that requires like interest in this subject.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the interest comes from when you first get into this. What the experience you first get to this subject, like maybe English or maybe math or something others.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talking about, you think that some teachers in Taiwan just they teach students, but they seldom improve themselves, so they sort of improve their English abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard that maybe you would like to be a teacher, maybe in your later career. So do you have something to do you have some what you're willing to do if you were a teacher? What would you like to maybe improve yourself? Let's focus on English part.
Okay. So what I observed the difference from America and Taiwan is the class is I remember it's only like 13, less than 13 people in my class in America. Yes. And we play and we learn. Like, and teacher, they are a part of us. They join us for games. They join us for the assignment they give us. Yeah. They don't just being like high or superior to you.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe like in
Very
Taiwan,
interesting. Yeah, it's mostly like a
like authority.
yeah
like,
authoritative.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, teacher needs to have
Environment.
authorities to control their
Yeah.
class, their
Yeah.
students. But that's
Yeah.
kind of due to a generational mindset, or
I think we have to give them like 20
20
years
years
for
to
this
maybe
to
gradually
for
change
this
this
to
kind
change.
of
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of
because like we are
Mhm.
still like heavily influenced by our traditional
Yeah.
classroom.
You know, one time I think there was a conflict between me and my teacher, my math teacher in America.
In
America, yeah. And I actually just talked to her like face to face, and she apologized to me for her mistake.
Mistakes.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard things to
That's-
do for
yeah.
maybe for
Yes.
some Taiwanese teachers.
Also, I think
Uh-huh.
the teacher is very, it's also hard for the teacher
yeah,
So-
it's also a hard
to be
time.
able to stand
Is
out.
your
Yeah.
teacher a young teacher or an elder teacher?
I think she's quite young.
It's quite young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So we
We
all
wanted to-
younger.
We are younger.
We should be teachers.
Teaching ourselves. If you're teaching yourself, you're teachers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
okay.
That.
Okay. So we wanted to talk about like your decision to leave school for a year.
Okay.
That's quite interesting to us and also quite scary, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we wanted to ask you like, you left school for a year, right?
Yeah.
To go to Africa.
Yeah.
And so what prompted this decision?
Okay. So, for many of you who don't know my history, I would like to introduce for a little bit. So, when I was freshman, I decided to give myself a gap year for just leave the school. I didn't set the time, like 1 year or half.
Do you have
year.
restricted the
Yeah.
deadline?
Yeah, I didn't set the deadline. So that was a quick decision in one night.
Yeah,
Just
I've,
one
I've heard
night.
that story.
So
We were all surprised.
I think I had a little idea, like gradually for a whole semester. I could think about it. I want to leave this place. Yeah, I don't really study or I really have that goal that I can strive for. So I really don't I feel lost in my first year. Yeah, I have no goal, and I study hard for just an alphabet on your transcript. That was
Alphabet.
yeah, just an alphabet, like all A's and then what? So what?
So nothing is scrapped. Gets into the scrap.
Yeah, yeah. So in hope to earn money, like
Okay.
in my early age. Yeah, because my thought was like, I'm 20, I'm almost 20, and I'm studying, but have no production at all. You are just taking the resources from
Your parents or
from the society.
society.
Yeah, and you give nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I felt useless in this place. Yeah. So at that night, I was encouraged by my counselor in church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Church.
Yeah, and I talked to her, and she encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone.
Oh, I would say that maybe that's kind of a
I would say maybe religion plays a role here.
role.
Yeah,
to
that
give
that
you
was
like
a
a
To
key.
give you
sense
the
of,
bravery and
Yes.
like a sense of security,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm.
you need a face to do this kind of
Yeah,
big
yeah.
move
You know,
for
it's
in
like-
your life.
It's like
Yes.
jumping off a cliff. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. That's
Did
You
your
don't know if there's
family
water
or
down
friend
there.
give you some suggestion or what?
Okay.
other
So
reflection.
okay, my parents were really stunned by my decision. Like, they were really. I wouldn't say they are furious, but they are like,
Appalled.
Don't like it.
yes. And I tell them the reasons why I want to leave, but of course they don't understand because my parents, they didn't go to university at all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, and I just want to fight myself. Yeah, and I said to my dad that if he didn't sign the suspension sheet for me, I will make myself a dropout.
Wow.
Like, it was
It's
a
kind
threat.
of a threaten your dad. So if you don't like, let me go. I'll drop out.
Yes, I will make
How
myself a
dare
dropout.
you?
Wow.
Wow.
That's need kind of bravery to do this kind of things.
Yeah.
And it was actually a threat to him and to me because
You have no chance to get back.
yes, I have no chance to get back, and I have like I need to think about next step.
Always thinking about it. What you're
Yes.
going to do.
Yes.
So
like
what's
my,
your next step?
my next
right
step
after?
is to work because I need some money. Oh, by that time I decided I want to go to Africa.
Oh,
Oh.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, we talk about that decision later.
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
start from
hmm So for me, I really need to get money, and I don't want to rely on my family.
Yep.
Yes. So I just get a part-time job. hmm
So how long have you been working for, like accumulating your?
Yeah, for the year, like for the whole
the
year,
whole
like
year.
how much of it did you go to work, and how much of it did you go to
Really
Africa?
go to the Africa.
Okay. So I work for 1 whole year.
Okay,
One whole year.
hmm
one whole year,
And then I go to Africa for half year.
Have you?
half a
Mhm.
year. Okay.
So is this that's kind of you earn enough money to pay for the half
Yes,
year
because I
trip.
need the money.
Yeah,
So
you-
I
you-
work.
yeah,
Okay.
really, we need some money to. I think maybe students we're easy to get used to having money from families.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And for my whole 20 years.
20-year-old age.
Yes, yes. I think I work enough. Like I work from I was like 16, and just to get the daily expenses.
So you 16
Okay.
hours every day.
No, no, no.
Oh.
No, started from
my
when she was
Sorry,
16.
ah,
Yeah.
16, yeah.
Yes, yes. And I just by that time I think I believe in myself. I can get the money. Yeah, and I was a English tutor when I was 17.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's a very different experience to, like all of us, actually.
Yeah, and I also study hard just for my merit-based scholarship.
Oh, merit-based
Mhm.
scholarship.
Merit-based.
Merit-based.
Yes.
Scholarship.
Oh.
Even in the university, I also get scholarship.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, that's kind of
Yeah, so that requires a lot of
amazing,
dedication.
kind of
yeah.
amazing journey for your starting point.
Also, most of the students in our university are like middle class kids, right?
Or middle class kids.
So basically,
that's-
they
that's
hardly had to
university.
work for like anything in their life.
Most of the students in NTHU, Tsinghua University,
Mhm.
we don't have to spend our extra time for work in order to get our university course get on.
Yeah, and most of us when we go to like when we get part-time jobs, it's
Part-
mostly because we want
for
something
personal
else,
Yeah.
you know,
needs or
Yeah.
something.
saving for
Yeah.
personal needs. you know.
Extra.
Yeah.
Extra
pocket money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pocket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was said that your kind of your this big move is, I think it's just not quite of it's not all for your goal only. It's kind of chasing for independence in life and your economic status.
Mhm.
So, how do you think about this? How do you think about being an independent person? To like you can maintain your daily expense, and you can do what you want, and you can do what you like, and not have to rely on someone to support you. How do you look at this kind of things?
So I did have some complaints in my early age.
Yeah.
I feel like why did my family support it? Isn't that what family do? Like my parents always want me to get a scholarship, but what did they do for me?
Oh.
You know, I've complained too much, but
How did you started to have that kind of a thought?
You mean how did I get the thought, or
Get
how
the thought. Okay, you can
get
say
the
it.
thought, or I get rid of the thought?
Like get the thought. That's
Okay.
your your family asked you to do something, but they didn't. That kind of thought.
Just like I said, my dad. I think that he owned a debt for like 300 millions. Is that? Oh no, 3 millions. Yeah, 3 millions.
3 million.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And so that was when my family got the low income qualification. So, so from that time, all of our kids we need to work,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
yes, and but now I think of it as a grace, as a really a chance for me to get
To grow.
to
maybe.
grow.
Yeah.
And from mentality that I find myself different from others,
Okay.
different from my peers.
Yeah.
And then that's also a part that I really need to get over it, because I found many of my friends, they don't have the same mind as mine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said in
Yes.
high school maybe, and especially you're studying in Taipei. That's kind of a capital, and it's a second high
Yes.
feminine high school.
Yes. And I used to feel shame, but now not anymore. But I feel lonely as to
Lonely.
Yes.
So
it
now
just-
you feel lonely.
with you guys now.
Hey.
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in my childhood, I felt lonely.
Yeah.
Because you spend your time on job, then you don't have time to hang out with friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of very important for your for kids' mind. That you have to have friends and you want to, like,
Teenage life.
teenage life. That's teenage, and now you're adults. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask, like, how hard was it to get a job without a university degree?
Oh, okay. That was a good one. So when I get a suspension, I just kind of plan to be a tutor for 1
Yes.
year, because for a tutor you earn much
Or
more
much
than
more than-
just a
Yeah,
part-time
yeah,
job. Yeah, like 6 times of the part-time job salary. So I post my profile on the website,
Yes.
but the truth is the crucial fact is that you don't have the university degree.
Yeah.
So that prompted me to go to the part-time job.
Yeah.
So I started to just work in restaurant, to be a waitress.
I think you work at a bakery. I remember.
Yes, I've
Oh,
been working with bakery, but
Yeah.
that was like for 1 week. I couldn't
Ah.
bear that long stand.
Oh,
You know?
How
Okay.
long stand?
Yes, and that was when I felt myself so incapable.
Incapable.
Yes,
Okay.
Incapable for living in this society.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I feel like I'm not as strong as I thought. Yes,
Okay.
and I also work with dentist.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
assistants.
dentist assistant.
Assistants, and the cram school, 大卫美语.
David,
Oh,
David's
David's
English.
Yes.
English center.
Yes.
Yeah, but eventually you made it through, right? So you made it work eventually.
Yes.
So maybe you're like stronger than what you
Than what
originally
you're-
thought, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, you can see that all your peers in university, their circumstances is just like what you have been into. So when you get out to work and found some hard time, so that everyone would have some hard time at that time when they if they get out of school. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say that really a move of bravery.
Yeah, it takes a lot of faith to like take a leap like this.
Yes, and my parents, they kind of give me the support by shutting up their mouth.
So not bothering you.
Yes, because they know I need to try it. I need to bump in the wall,
Bump. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I will give up.
You will. If you think that they thought they thought if you bump
Yeah.
into some
Some barriers, yes.
then you will give up.
Yes.
So what do they think about this now? Like
Yeah.
looking back.
Um, they were. I actually didn't know what they think. Yes, because I also live outside, not live in my home.
Now,
No, no.
So you
At that
rent a
time.
you
When-
rent a
when I
house?
work.
When you work.
Yes, I rent a house.
so you have to pay the
Play the rent.
rental.
Yes, because
Wow.
I need to be alone, and I need to be just think clearly how my life is going to work.
Yeah, that's really a hard time for.
If
Yeah.
you're staying with your family, you'll get so much annoying
Annoying.
situation. Yes. Yes.
Wow. That's kind of incredible for us.
Yeah, it's hard to
It's
hard
just
to
it's just something
imagine,
that's
right?
last year or 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
before this time now.
Yeah, and every time the self-doubt will come to
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
You're like, how
The
how did
latest
you
late
come
night.
to this? Like, you can just stay in school and having a good,
have an
good
easy
university
life, easier life.
Yes, and self-doubt always comes to you, but
Yeah.
it's the process.
Yeah,
of
you
growing
choose
up.
a hard way to go to.
Yes, and once you choose the less walked path,
Yeah.
like your days are all new, like every day. It's whole new every day, because you have to think about what your next step is, and you have to think about what can lead you the path to what you want.
Kind of make your mind clear for thinking every step.
Yeah,
Yes.
because-
yes.
Like if you're staying university, you have like a path written
Yes.
out for you,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You just read and study.
Yeah,
and
read
then-
and study.
and having good grades
Uh-huh.
or not good grades, and you can graduate.
Yes.
That's kind of a
But
setup.
when you get out of school, maybe you need to make plans for yourself,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
then
that's
you know
exactly-
think about what you're gonna do.
Yes.
And so I think you're like better prepared when you eventually leave university,
finish
Yes.
the university.
right? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so kind of listen to after listening to your story, we think everyone.
We think we need to get
include
out
three of
more,
us,
you
yeah.
know?
We would like to
We like to strive for ourselves a little bit.
strive for. So you know that if you I think what you said is just things happened last year or
Mhm.
2 years before, and
Yes.
well, recollecting the memory at that time, I don't think I have that kind of strength or kind of bravery or faith to do this kind of things you have done. So kind of very
Yeah, but maybe if you were to stay in school for that year, I think you would encounter some kind of different hardships,
hardships.
maybe maybe mentally,
Yes.
it
That
would
be
be
a
a
total
struggle
different
too. Yeah.
Outcome.
Yeah.
I've thought about if I stayed in school, I think I'll still get through
Get
it.
through.
Yes.
Get through, but the internal torment would be something that
at
would
school.
yeah.
It will be different. It will be something different.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also you would have wondered what if I quit school,
Uh-huh.
what would happen if I
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And for the whole process, I think of I want to take up that decision. Like, I made my own choice,
Yeah.
not
Okay.
others who make my choice. And my parents also give me a lot of expectation of going to a good university and making better money than others. So when I get that was 1 hour for 133 wages that time.
Oh.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now
I've
it's
been-
150.
I've been-
Now
yeah,
it's 150,
now it's
right?
150.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Minimum wage.
yeah, and they were really disappointed at me.
Wow.
Yes, but I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
But I think making choices, it's kind of leads to that you have to take responsibility for what you have chosen
Yes.
for the choice you have done.
Yes. No matter which
No
which
matter
way,
which way you
choose.
choose, you have to take the
Yeah, so when we were students, like we take less, we
Less
can have like
responsibility.
we have like a discount
yeah,
on
big
responsibility
discount on
on
responsibility.
regarding what we decide or regarding our decisions, right?
Yeah.
And so to make yourself, face the full consequences, it's a very brave thing to do, and also something really hard for us to imagine.
Mhm.
Okay, so.
So I think we'll talk about Africa when we come back from the break.
Yes,
And I think now it's time for our first break.
definitely.
Okay.
See you later. Okay, welcome back from our break. In this session, we want to talk a little bit more about your journeys in Africa.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. So, could you walk us through like your journey, your tour through Africa
Okay.
this
so
summer, maybe?
This summer?
Yeah.
Why you choose Africa?
Okay, so I went to Uganda last year and also Kenya for like just 20 days. And this year I went to Rwanda. So it's all in East Africa.
Yep. East Africa.
Yes. And last year I also went to the north, which is Egypt, and this year South Africa and Eswatini.
So, is there any plan for your trip or your journey all the way? Is there? You're with the NGO, right?
Uh-huh. So at the first time, I didn't plan to join any NGO because my purpose is to be a teacher, a volunteer teacher in Uganda. And while I doing it, I was led by God and met a group of Christian, which they work as an NGO. And then I went to Kenya because Step 30, the NGO, they start from Kenya. So I went to the origin place they work, so I get to know a little bit about their missionary.
Oh.
Okay, so Kenya was last year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is the NGO choose this country to serve, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
So they're part of like a missionary, like they want to spread,
Mm-hmm.
God
God's
in
love.
their country
Yeah, the
and
gospel.
also help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what kind of help work do you do?
Okay. Our work is for women empowerment. First, we started with their sanitary pads. We teach them how to make cloth pads. Then we teach them about health education. And
Yep.
then to tailoring. And the tailor is for the women to self-sustained. They can earn a little bit money, and
Okay.
therefore their social status is leveled up.
Okay. Yes. So it's hard for us to imagine like the things we take for granted, even the
Mhm.
most basic
sanitary
necessities.
or-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and so they don't have that. They don't make them in Africa,
They do. They have.
or is it too expensive? Maybe?
For they to afford.
It is expensive for
Okay.
them. Like a meal costs less than a package of sanitary pads.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is like only not even $1.
Wow, so,
$1.
Yeah.
US dollar.
US dollar.
Yes, US dollar.
So then no one would choose to buy the sanitary pack. So
Yes, yes.
Yep. So
I think it's also like a lack of like feminist
Mhm.
feminist
And
ideas
the health
in their country.
sanitary
yeah.
concept for that
Yeah.
education for
Yeah. And you
sure.
know, once a girl told me that
yeah.
she got her first menstrual cycle,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
she was afraid that her organs and body is broken. Like
Wow.
they don't have
Also,
any
they're
They don't
not
have any idea
educated
about
on this
Yes.
matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
she didn't learn some experience from her mother.
No.
So they just don't talk about these things.
They talk
about-
about it, but they seem it as a taboo. Like,
Oh, taboo.
yeah, it's
So it's kind
nothing-
of cultural things. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard that that's kind of taboo when they will ask the woman who have menstrual cycle to leave the village or get outside of the house
Uh-huh.
to stay after the cycle over. Then she can came back into their family.
Oh.
So is there
I've never
anything
heard
like
about
that-
this, but also I think Taiwan,
Yeah.
the traditional religion, they also
Yeah, I've heard that.
banned
Yeah, about maybe 40 or 50 years ago.
ago.
We had, maybe 100. I don't
Yeah,
know for
I think
sure,
like
but it's
in
kind
the
of a
old days,
traditional
right.
Uh-huh.
a kind of traditional taboo for in Taiwan.
But now
Yeah.
it's it's much better.
It's
already
really
much better.
very much
Yeah.
Yeah.
better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about disease? How AIDS problem? AIDS is really an important issue in East Africa, right?
Uh-huh. Okay. So step 30 starts with curing jiggers. 沙枣.
Jiggers. Oh.
Yeah, for their feet, because we sent containers of clothes and shoes that we collected from Taiwan,
Yeah.
and we distribute it to the rural area,
Yeah.
so that they can either they use it or they sell it to earn some profit.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. So I also wanted to know, like, why did you choose Africa? You know,
As your destination.
even in Asia or say Taiwan, maybe
Mhm.
we also have like the underprivileged
Yes.
people here also.
Mhm.
So what prompted your choice to choose like you wanted to go to Africa?
Yes. So this is an issue that we got so many times.
Just
Yes.
being asked.
Yeah. I think for me, love is borderless.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you see something or someone that need help, they're in need, you just have to jump in. You don't ask why. You don't have reasons that
There's
why
no need
not?
of reasons.
Yes. So I would just ask you, why not? If you see some underprivileged person, because that was the destination you go into, and you actually see their situation. You just jump in.
So the first
Okay, so you would
motivation.
say
is to-
like you were prompted by the issue that was
Mhm.
happening over
Yes.
there, and then it just occurred to you you just wanted to be there
Uh-huh.
for that. Yeah.
Yes, and
Okay.
also reminds me that some missionary also came to Taiwan from America, from
yeah.
Canada, like Macau, like
Oh, yeah,
yes.
that's re-
They also do the same thing for the dentist, for some health education. Yes, and that's what we're doing to Africa too.
Yeah, and the different content in the time and space.
Yes, yes.
You're doing the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen of doing service from your neighborhood
Mm-hmm.
rather than doing service in Africa?
You mean if I
Start from your neighborhood,
in Taiwan?
yes.
Okay, yes. Because our church, my
Yeah.
church, is cooperative with what's it say, orphanage.
Orphanage. Yeah.
Yes, and it's also under Christianity system.
Yeah.
Yes, and we also connect with them, and we build up the relationship with the orphans,
Yeah.
because we are like just like their mother, and for even until now, I also just take care of my
Adopted.
yes,
yeah,
like
kind of
daughter.
adopted.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and so I think it's not just about nationality.
Yeah.
Yes, and
It's about
of-
commitment.
Yes,
So-
and commitment.
yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So is there continuing questions from James? So is this any there's some trigger for you to get into know about the African things, or is there some like you read an article or you have met someone have been there? Is there any trigger like that?
Uh-huh. I don't know if you know any about Liu Anting.
Liu Anting,
Yes.
yeah, teach for Taiwan.
Yes, teacher for
oh.
Taiwan.
Maybe you can explain what she works for in a few words.
Okay. She's I would say public figure.
Yeah.
Yes, and she studies in Princeton University, and her story just prompts me to go to Africa, because she once told a story about her internship, I think, in Africa, and she learned to like she wanted to dedicate herself in Taiwan,
Yeah.
but she is from USA.
USA, yeah.
Yes, like, that was one inspiration in my life. Yes.
If I've heard Liu Anting from her project launched in Taiwan called Teach for Taiwan.
Yes.
They goes to kind of rural areas for the kids there and teach them trying to build an education system for students from that kind of rural area. And they would like to build the system that can self replenish. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, how about your teacher's life, as you have said in Uganda?
Like my volunteer.
Yeah,
thing.
volunteer.
Okay. Uh, I think their obedience is
Obedience,
really
really.
yes much better than Taiwan. I would
Oh.
say it's better because they kind of just be they don't think.
You think the students
They just
just
follow the
obey
order.
the order?
Yes, they follow the order. You know, for me, Taiwan is already obedient.
Ah.
Taiwanese, yeah,
Yes.
but they are more obedient to teacher.
Yep.
Yes, and they don't think about what they can use
Achieve,
their
they can-
creativity.
yeah.
Yes, and their mindset is kind of fixed.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, but it's not necessarily a good thing, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
So what's
Mhm.
the reason they only follow order rather than think
We figure
idea
out some.
by
Yeah.
themselves?
Um, I actually don't have the answer for it. Yes, but for me, they don't have a chance. Even, you know, if I born in a modest income family,
Yeah.
but I still have cell phone.
Yeah.
You know, I still have the connection and accessibility for the whole world.
Yeah.
Yes, and for them, they don't have anything. The only thing they have is the tools like around
Yeah.
them. They can use their creativity to make their life just a little bit better, but from still the resources they have, which is so little.
That's they're hard to access the knowledge. And
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps they
communication.
rely like heavily
Uh-huh.
on knowledge from maybe their parents or
Yes.
teachers, maybe.
Yes.
It's kind of information
Mhm.
gap between them and us. maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
So what did you teach in Uganda?
Oh, I teach Chinese.
You teach Chinese.
Yes.
So they have Chinese in their official course.
No.
No.
No, I kind of just play with them with Chinese. You know, for me, that trip was like for them, at least they know there is a different continent and a
Yeah.
Different culture.
From different
Yeah.
culture.
Other than them, right?
Yes, yes, that was just a taste of foreign things.
Mhm.
It's not just I need to teach them
Teach
something.
them something. Yeah.
Yes.
So you use Chinese to broaden their horizon?
Something like that. Yeah, and I also teach them Sudoku.
Sudoku.
Yes.
They play Sudoku.
Okay.
there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Teach me next time.
I can't do Sudoku very well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you think they have some edges that wins over Taiwanese student?
The
Advantage?
their advantage. The most important thing is they are satisfied. Like
Oh, yeah.
if you are ignorant of your poverty,
Yeah.
Right.
that you feel
That's-
happy. But if you are in the urban area in Africa,
Like you're constantly compared with like the richer people.
yes,
Like
yes.
here. So you want to, work harder,
Mm-hmm.
maybe to, eventually become richer,
Yes.
maybe. But in their situation, they don't really think about this, right?
Yes, they are happy about their
They're
life.
content with what they have.
So do you think that's a good thing or something that maybe not so good for their growth or something?
I would say it depends.
Yeah, it
It
depends.
depends.
Yeah.
Because like
It-
with that mentality in Taiwan, you would be labeled as, lack of
Lack
ambition,
of ambition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
lack of drive,
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do they eager to learn new things from you? Or they just satisfy what they have? No.
They're eager to learn.
So they'll be curious.
Yes, they are curious. Yeah, they just don't have the chance to get it.
Get attached
Mhm.
to the everyone
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So how old is your student?
They are in primary 4.
Oh, primary 4.
Primary
Yes.
That's
4.
really
That's
kind of
like 10 years,
10 years old.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
they also
Probably
attend
no less than
school
10 years
and your class, right?
Yeah, and also for the question, they are English and our age. is better than us
Oh.
because they go to school, they learn English, and they are only allowed to speak English.
So they use English to learn other subjects.
Yes.
Their official
So,
language is
yeah.
English.
One English and
English.
one Luganda.
Okay.
Uganda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe
So how about the teachers? Are they any different from us, from our teachers?
So
Did you
their
find
teacher,
anything
they are
strange
not
or-
issued by some qualification thing.
oh,
Yes.
so they can be
Oh,
the
okay.
student teacher if they want to.
Mm-hmm. And relation is the most important thing in their society because they start from the tribal.
Tribe,
tribal
yeah.
soci-
Tribal
Yes.
society.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you are lucky to know any famous person or a high status person, then you have the chance to get any job you want.
So it's not about blood relationship. It's about kind of society,
Like who
social,
you know
social
and not what you
relationship.
know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So that's why there are so many corruption.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe could you elaborate more about your next project on women empowerment? Maybe more.
So, women empowerment project has been like I don't know how many years.
How many years?
It's been such a long history,
Oh.
but I think it's a really important thing that not even women, but also other people, they need to know that mindset that women are capable.
To do
And
something.
Yes, because from their from menstruality
Yeah.
to education, and then to the sanitation, the law, the welfare, and most importantly, the self-worth. They need to know their self-worth.
Self-worth.
And then we talk about public awareness. Like, It's-
First, they need to be themselves.
yes.
There's need to be a me
Yes.
inside the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there are so many things that we can change. Even in Taiwan, there's different salaries for men and women thing. Yeah. But in Africa, it starts from the basic need. And the basic,
Basic need.
yes.
Like
Need
self-recognition, right?
Uh-huh.
Self-recognition.
Yeah. And I always think that poverty is sexist. Like,
Yeah.
if your family has only that little resources, then you are the one, like girls are the one who sacrifice because
Yeah.
boys need to go to school.
Yeah, that happens in Taiwan's traditional community
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
as well.
Like
Yeah.
20 years
20 years
ago.
ago.
It's
Yeah.
very-
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of change we can make. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And I wanted to ask, like, there are still a lot of misunderstandings
Mm-hmm.
about Africa,
Yes.
especially here in Asia, because we often think of it like as a faraway continent,
Mm-hmm.
and very few people have been there, and we generally don't hear about like somebody going to Africa too often,
Yes.
and on the news it's always like mostly like the negative news,
Yeah.
Yes.
like poverty or war,
Mhm.
and so I wanted to know, like, are there any misunderstandings you would like to clarify?
Okay, so the first thing is the Earth. The Earth is not barren at all because it could be an old continent, but there are still rain and
Natural
still-
resources too.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
and we actually grow many vegetables there,
Yeah.
like different. Yeah, so this is the first I can think of, and also the weather, because it's not. Uganda, the equator cross Uganda,
Yes.
but it's not hot at all. It's
No.
even different. It's even better than here.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's
Because they're in
high,
continents.
level.
Higher
Altitude.
altitude.
Yes, altitude. Yes.
That's I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I totally
so,
have no idea.
In Taiwan, the education, I don't know it's the education or anything, but we see the continent as like it's all
Mhm.
desert. They don't have enough rain, they don't
Yes.
have enough food,
Oh.
and I know that this is like not a correct view,
Uh-huh.
of,
View
this
of this.
continent,
Yes.
but I think like most people still think that really.
Yeah, and that people are not perilous or vicious. They are really nice and kind, and they have a strong connection with their neighbor and with the families, and that's what really touches me. And also, they are not poor. They are, I think, the poor people are really creative, but they are poor just because they are unable to turn their creativity
status.
to
Profit.
income,
Profit,
to
yeah.
profit. And it's they're just like they are deprived. You know, they're just
Yeah, yeah,
deprived
okay.
from our
Yeah.
Their history and
yes.
their cultural status.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So, are there any stereotype from you that you think
Lion
Africa.
King, Simba.
And that's really a stereotype. That's no
Yeah,
reason.
that's really-
no
yeah.
no. other
Only
reason
thing
for
I
this.
know from TV is from Animal Planet,
Uh-huh.
like animal migration,
Yeah.
elephants, lions, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I watched a lot of CNN when I was little,
Uh-huh.
and I think they play a big part, in portraying like Africa as like such a like a
So
desert.
what's it like
So it's
in
like
the CNN description?
CNN always like when I was little, I didn't like to watch CNN because it
Yeah.
talks about like war in the Middle
Uh-huh.
East or like
It's boring.
like poverty issues in
Mhm.
Africa,
yeah.
and I think we only see that facet of
Mm.
Africa.
Too
really,
superficial for
you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, there are wars. The wars are just prompted by you need to get the living places, the living water. You need to get
So
some
the basic
resources.
needs.
Yeah, yeah, and it can start from small family to family, and then to
Tribe to
tribe, yeah, and then to the to the whole country.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to imagine since we're not the generation living in the wartime.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to live, and you need to.
Yeah. You have to
need
survive.
be fierce.
Yeah, be
like-
fierce.
Yes.
Yes.
And also there are one stereotype I want to clarify
Yeah.
that they are water, they are water
Yeah.
because like the government, they don't put a lot of emphasis on fundamental
Fundamental
Facility.
facilities. Yeah.
yes
Infrastructures.
yeah,
Infrastructure.
infrastructure. And also, the world, the greatest water powered, like the generating power
Generator.
Power
Yes.
generator.
is in Africa.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I've never heard that.
Again, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe in the news, maybe like a lot of charities, they always say like, they need more water for
They
For
need
clean
water,
water for Africa.
infrastructure.
You know, and people have like this view that they don't have any
Mhm.
water over there.
But in fact, I think, water is kind of, we take it for granted. Those infrastructure, we grow up in kind of civilized society, so we take a lot of things for granted. But I think that the roads, the sewage system, they're not they're not there.
Okay.
They're built it. So
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the main reason why we can some people cannot empathize for what the problem they're facing. Yep.
I think CNN now has a new show about Africa. It's like
Oh.
it talks about like the art, the musicians
Oh,
or the
yeah.
artists in Africa,
Yeah.
and I think like they really need to do like more of that
Yeah.
portrayal of Africa.
Portrayal.
You know, because as like traditional Western media, I think they have done a lot of damage. To people's views of Africa as a continent,
Yes.
Yeah.
and they should really, sometimes they should report like the good things or the colorful and beautiful things of Africa
Yeah.
to let people
Yes.
really know like Africa is not like
The
what we
dark
thought it was
continent.
like 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yes. To spot an artist on street is like you can find an engineer in Hsinchu. It's
Wow.
like-
Really?
yes, they are really creative. They also do the original painting. Like they can paint for 1.5 day, but you just buy it for like not even like 400 Taiwan dollars.
Wow. So
Yes.
there's a maybe a paint,
There are many
an
paints.
artwork for you in a very low price.
Yeah, but they shouldn't sell it at low
Yeah.
price. But
That's
there
kind
is
of
no
not the
business business model for
consciousness
them.
model for them.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So what's their industry? What do they do for work?
They do. Most of the industry are founded by foreigners.
Yeah, I've
Uh-huh.
heard that mainly from China, the one belt, one way thing.
One road.
One world, one way.
Yes, and the founder are mostly like Chinese, white, and the manager
Manager.
are usually Indian and Pakistani.
Indian?
Oh, really?
Okay.
Christian.
And
That's
because
Yeah.
in Indian, I think they're also poor, and they
Yeah.
also need to get out the country and then go to a near, like they can make a better living in Africa.
I think they're facing different.
Okay, so they don't
Yes.
want
Hard,
to
difficult part.
personally go there. They just want their money to go there, and
so
then they
send
like
someone
other,
to go there
other
to make
people
money.
go there.
Yeah.
That's capitalism.
Yeah.
How capitalism works.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So the black always get the minimum wage.
Okay.
wage.
Yeah.
So, do you know there are many volunteer group in NTHU, like the group to
Kenya.
Tanzania.
yeah, in Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask, what's the difference between your NGO and the volunteer group in NTHU?
Mm-hmm. So for our group, we do the long-term volunteering, because even if I'm here, there are also people there to help. Our work do not stop at all.
Yeah. Continuing
Yes.
to do the works.
And we want to transform lives from a little village,
Yeah.
because like we have the women empowerment project, we also have the live-in water project. We dig borehole,
Yeah.
水井, and we also do, like we teach them how to raise chicken, teach them how to raise rabbits, and we teach them how to plant. Also.
It sounds like playing Minecraft.
Yeah, so we want to transform their lives from a model of a small village, and for others like computer to Tanzania thing.
there's a
For other
project
groups,
for it.
it's like one time, and it's just, even if you send the computer there, but who can fix it?
Yeah.
And who can use it? The software is the most important because you can access information and knowledge, but who can teach them? Like, it's just a hardware, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to use it.
So
You
you're
don't know.
seeing
Yeah,
your
so-
projects more sustainable than theirs?
I would think so. I would say it's truth, but I don't devalue the value of the group, because it also gives a little view of Africa to the volunteers. They can also broaden their view, and it also plant a seed in their mind that there are people who are in need, in the world.
But sometimes like they face a lot of criticism
Mhm.
for just going there for a little time,
Mhm.
and then mostly people think that they're just broadening their own horizons
Yes.
and
And
maybe
maybe some
adding
credits.
something to their resume
Uh-huh.
and not really leaving a lasting impact on Africa.
Yes, just like I said, the material thing doesn't mean anything, because when we get to Uganda, we also try to find manager.
Yeah.
Our main project is to find manager because we want to leave after 5 years, and
Okay.
you need to sustain yourself. So we teach them how we see things, how we do a project, and how we give back report, like. Just like boss, and there is a manager and a CEO in Africa, they need to be their boss, not Chinese, not white. You need to do your work, and traveling is not all about sharing or bragging about I've been there, and it's because it changes your inner being. Traveling, it does change your inner beings. It changes mind and attitude, and then you act out like you know how others live. And so you see things differently. Yeah. So I don't know, because I don't know other volunteers from
Oh yeah.
school. Yeah.
So I've heard like some of them, share their trip to Africa, Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
I think they first of all they give them a lot of hardware and teach them how to use computers, and they also do a little bit farming, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard that they also train some local teachers for
Yeah.
the softwares.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I've heard that there's the thing they're criticized about
Mm-hmm.
that they're just only go there
You know,
annually.
to help people to feel
Yeah.
good about themselves.
But that's kind of a problem they are facing now.
Yeah.
Just they kind of train. They want to train some teachers to teach the softwares, but maybe the electricity power is not maybe so continuous at that area. So maybe they can't always have access to computer and internet at that place. So even if they have teachers, they cannot always access to the computer. So if the teacher are teaching maybe 20 students or 30 students, they maybe have to use blackboards to teach how to use the software, and that's kind of not very intuitive for students, and they cannot learn that very well. So maybe infrastructure and hardware is, yeah, they're also needed. They're also needed, but the software part that you're talking about, maybe the infrastructure part, how teachers teach those students is the main problem they're facing, and they're willing to kind of deal with.
Uh-huh. So my suggestion for them would be they cooperate with higher education system, because if you just put the computers in different like rural areas, then it couldn't be sustainable.
Yeah, sustainable is the big part.
Yes, yes, and yes, just like I said, the computer is not just for like a hardware thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they need to know how to use it, and even after they access the technique of using internet, then what can they do?
Yeah.
Yeah, what can they turn their ability to business?
Yeah, the meta part, the outside of the physical world,
Yes.
the mindset or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the whole part of empowerment. What you're like to doing.
Yes, yes. And a little suggestion for a volunteer is you need to observe, and you need to reflect to yourself, because there are many issues, like from your table and to the transportation, to the industry and the farmers and the resources, and to the whole supply system. There are all many issues in there, so you need to read and you need to reflect to
You
yourself.
need to
Do
learn
research
more.
before
Yeah,
you
you
go
study
there.
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Study more, then go.
So then you know what they really need and what
Yes.
you can do to
Yeah,
help.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, did you experience some culture shock in Africa?
Uh-huh.
Do they all gladly accept your suggestion and your charity, or maybe some of them do some of them reject your help?
Oh.
Maybe they think they are not poor, they don't need your help.
With their contents for. Yeah.
Okay. So one interesting is in Kenya, people don't like Chinese at all. Like
Wow.
when we're in supermarket and
Chinese or Taiwanese?
You have the face of.
they're like, okay, like people look like us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Asians, East
Mhm.
Asians.
East Asians.
Yes. They one time in supermarket they were like, go back to your country, go
Wow.
back to your country, you know, whatever. Like
Shows of fear.
yes, that was the first rejection I encountered. But
Oh,
other
Donald
than
Trump
that,
also said that. So
what?
Donald Trump also said that.
Yeah, Donald Trump also had this dilemma.
Oh yeah.
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 What's the reason why they treat you like
Yeah.
this?
Why are they hostile?
I think they must have the
Maybe bad memories,
bad
bad experiences
with
with-
Chinese,
yeah,
and
Chinese
also
people.
in Uganda. Yeah. One time, a construction manager,
Yeah.
he worked with Chinese just one time, because they do the work case by case.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they think Chinese are bad.
So he's from Uganda.
Yes, they are
Yeah.
Ugandan, and he really think Chinese are cheater.
Wow.
They don't give fair amount of wages, because
Okay.
he is a manager, but he was treated like a just worker.
Also,
Okay.
kind of a Chinese boss.
Uh-huh.
Boss.
So this is part of the problems of the One Belt, One Road
Yeah.
project, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
But after they knowing your purpose and your goal, they still treat you like this, like normal Chinese.
For charity, we did not encounter so much problem. There's just a communication thing, because they don't know your standard. If because like we have construction work also, and we hired the local people, but they always do the do the lame work.
The
you know?
least part of things.
Yeah, they measure the bed, they measure the door, but it always comes with a different size of it, and it couldn't fit at all. Like
So that's what kind of problem?
they are not able to reach a really specific and very
Delicate works.
yes delicate works. So that was a big problem for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask, like, I know religion is a big part of what you do. I wanted to ask, like, if religion has any impact on the local people, or if they have their own religion, or
Okay.
something like that.
So yes, they have the religion really acts a really crucial part for them, because it they don't have much resources, and they can only rely on God. So I always think their faith is really amiable. Like I really respect it. And there is a Bible verse, and let's say James 1:27. It says, "Religion that God, our Father, accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." Like they, even if they are seemed incapable, like they don't have really much resources, but they still want to help others.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
They always help
that's
each
very
other.
admirable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They know there are so many orphans, there are so many widows, but
Yes.
they always try to help. Yeah.
No matter what their
No
status
matter what their
is.
situation
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very nice. Okay. So we wanted to know, like, what's your next step? What do you plan to do from now on?
Okay. So like our project is from, it's been 2 or 3 years now. So we have 3 years to go.
Okay.
And we want them to
So you plan to go like every year, right?
yeah.
Hopefully,
For now.
yeah.
Yeah. But we want them to be they can help themselves, and they have the small business. So we want to teach them how to do business, and also grow some vegetables and the food they can take from some nutritious food.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
the coffee, the cotton, because they are
Yes,
always
those
the
are
one-
economical crops, right?
comics. Yeah.
Mhm.
Those like you earn money for white people, for like
Yeah.
foreigners, right?
It's kind of historical issues caused by the colonization.
Yeah. And we want to do the fair trade, so we also do the beehives thing. We sponsor them with beehives, and we collect honey. We sell them to Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
So would you like to plug your charity, maybe? Okay. You want to talk about your charity, where people can go to support you, maybe?
yes. Go to step30.org and
Step30.org.
Step
Yes.
30. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And buy some
there's a
honey
way.
while you're there,
Huh?
right? Buy some honey, right?
yes, it's like this. Like you sponsor the beehives for $100 US dollars for 1 year, and we will send you like 9 cans of bee or honey.
Honey,
Honey.
organic honey.
Yes.
Is it organic?
organic and totally
And also you have
pure.
your name on it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I will
Okay.
put your name on the beehives.
That's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a nice way to support the charity
Mm-hmm.
and also have some delicious honey for yourself.
Yes.
It's a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
So your project is called Step 30.
Yes.
Is there any meanings inside this name? Why 30 steps?
Ah, okay. That's a good question. Step 30, the 30 is the age because our organization, the average age is beyond, it's below 30.
Wow,
Yes.
that's quite young.
Yes, and we want many teenagers to join with us and to broaden the view of life and to see what you can dedicate. Yes, and we want some teenagers
To join you.
Yes.
Yes, and they can try to find what's their what their goal for their life or for what they're working on.
Yes, yes.
Kind of a great thing. So
So, what's the background of your member? Are they all Christian?
Mm-hmm.
Do religion being a part of motivation, motivate them to do service in Africa?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So most of us are Christian because the religion is the way to keep us moving and keep us unity. Because if you don't have the religion, you don't have the vision from God, you will not able to keep moving on this because the
have the
salary
faith,
is not
yes.
it's not
that
little.
high,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's little.
which is not good.
And if you don't have the heart for it, you will just fail on the way because it's not just one time you said, "Oh, I've been there. I've helped many people," but it's just one time.
Yeah, it's about constant help to them.
Yes, it's about commitment, like you said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we have about enough time for today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are there any questions for us?
I would like to invite you to join me.
To join to go to Africa.
To go there.
Yes.
I
Okay.
don't have a religion. I think I may drop out halfway.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And any reflections?
I think maybe your story is really inspirational for like the same age students or
Yeah.
kids below our age, that you can try to not being content for what you're now. So you're trying to strive for the another way for chasing for your own goal and really have the strength and the kind heart to break through the problems that you encountered, and then you can now having kind of stable now, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of having a stable life for chasing your goal, and I think that's kind of a very inspirational story for our generation. Even if not in our generation, maybe all of people can hear your story and have great reflection on themselves and from other people besides them. So very thank you for your sharing.
Yeah, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And
One last thing.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to encourage our audience. Like, there is also a Bible script. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and purity.
Yeah.
So do not look down on yourself because you are young.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you. That's a wonderful
Thank you.
message.
Wonderful ending for us.
Yes, and I would also encourage the audience to check out Step 30, the charity, on the internet, and also follow the Islanders podcast on Spotify and on Anchor, and on YouTube also.
Or
Yes.
any platform you're using for podcast.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.